Hi, good people. Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification bell if you would like to be notified when I post future content because I'll be here quite often. I want to, I guess in previous videos, we've talked about how the United States government is at risk of not paying its bills this year, mid this year, right? So I want to talk about today, who does the United States government owe? And all of that debt and facing default, who are the people? What are the entities that the United States government owe this money to? Because the United States is facing not being able to pay its bills. Now, the United States government has, at this moment, $31 trillion worth of debt. That $31 trillion comes from somewhere. And the United States government, they don't pay the 31 trillion every year. That's not the case. They pay interest only. They pay interest only on that. When the interest rates go up, they pay more to service that debt. But they pay interest only every year. So if the government, the United States federal government cannot pay its bills, who are affected? Who do the United States owe money to? Because that, like I said, that 31 trillion came from somewhere. They borrowed it from somebody or something or some corporation or something. So I'm going to get into that, right? Now, Japan. Japan is like the number one country that owns a majority of the United States debt. Japan owns $1.2 trillion of United States treasuries. So, what treasuries are bonds. Countries come, say this is a safe bet. I don't think the United States government is going broke or going to default or won't be in existence in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So, this is a safe bet. They're the world reserve currency. They money rule the world. Everybody's trading with their money. Everybody has faith in this money. So we're going to park our money here in the United States economy. You know what I mean? People come from whole countries, leave their native countries, and come to the United States to buy real estate, to buy companies, commercial real estate, start businesses, do all kinds of things. Everybody money's tied up here. From the greatest corporation to the mom and pop shop down on the block on Avenue B. Everybody money's tied up in the United States. And this is how it's tied up. Buying bonds, putting your faith in the United States government is saying, here, I have X amount of money. I have faith in the government. I'm going to get a return on this money at this percentage rate. I trust it. I'm going to park my money here. And in 10 years or however long you lock your money up in the bond, then at the end of that term, I mean, you could cash out early, but at the end of that term, you get that money back and you've earned interest on it, right? That's how the United States government makes its money. China owns around 800 billion of United States Treasury bonds. They purchase these bonds through the United States Treasury, the same department of the government that collects our taxes every year. They sell these little treasury bonds, IOUs basically, across the world. I'm talking central banks all across the world, whole countries. Let's stay here domestically for a minute. So you have private US companies, they buy into treasury bonds. Foreign companies, they buy into US treasury bonds. Insurance companies, they won't be able to pay out their claims. All of this FDIC insured money that's sitting in these commercial banks that says, "Oh the United States citizens with the after the Great Depression, they didn't trust the banking systems anymore, so we created this whole organization that's going to insure their money to the tune of $250,000." So up to the $250,000, your money is insured in whatever bank that you have, and the government guarantees those payouts. They won't be able to make those claims. Somebody who has $1 million, they typically have about 4 bank accounts. So that each portion of their money to the tune of 4 portions will be all protected. Because if you put it in one institution, it's only insured up to $250,000. That means you leaving a huge chunk of your wealth uninsured. So they break it apart, right? That's the game, right? But they won't be able to pay those claims. I don't care if you broke it up, if it's all together. The claims, those are all in jeopardy. That's what it means when the United States can't pay its bills. State pension systems. We have whole people retiring. We have people that are retired that rely on that money now. All assets is at stake. U.S. households. Now, it's not just pension systems that manage, people pension funds and they go looking for investments on the stock exchange and in the United States Treasury bonds and buy up all this stuff hoping to get a good return so that people could retire with more money. That's what the retirement fund manager does. They manage the money in a pool of a whole account. It's a pool controlled by each state within the union, right? Each one of those states, depending on where your state is, if your state has a bad budget, what you think your pension looking like? When the stock market crash, that directly affects your pension because, as I just said, the manager of those pension systems take your pool of money and go invest it on the stock market. You may not have the financial education to go onto the stock market and pick individual, you know, investments for yourself. So you rely on a manager who manages that fund to do it for you. But when the stock market goes down, so too does your retirement pension. And for everybody who has one, they've looked into theirs recently and everybody's portfolio is down because the market is down. All of the tech stock down. Everything is down. So a lot of people who were planning retirement, they're a little bit spooked right now. Like, I need to stay in the workforce and earn a little bit more money. And then they don't even see this about to hit them. They trying to protect their individual pot, but the whole grand scheme of things is in jeopardy. The whole system. And that would trigger a global recession. We talking if Japan come and try to cash out that 1.2 trillion, they not going to be able to. China come ask for that 800 billion. China not going to be able to get that. The the private companies, they have all of their money invested in bonds. They won't get it. The insurance companies won't get it. The pension systems, Social Security won't get it. United States households affected all across the country, triggering the whole globe. Because it's not just Japan and China that buys up US bonds. Let's 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 hit this. So you got OPEC, right? OPEC countries. Those are the oil producing nations like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia runs OPEC. OPEC determines what our gas prices, the barrels, the millions of barrels of gas is being traded across the globe. Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they run that organization for the most part. The petrodollar. Then you got Switzerland. You got the United Kingdom, China, the Eurozone, Japan, as I mentioned, whole other countries. The list is too big. State and local governments here in the U.S. Like I said, our state pensions, all that. Commercial banks. Commercial banks own so many bonds, it's ridiculous. They're trying to get a return for their shareholders as well as their customers. Because when you park your money in a bank savings account, depending on where the nation's interest rate is, then you get that you're supposed to get that return on the money that you have sitting there. The banks say you trust your money to sit here. We're going to give you some interest while your money is sitting here. And depending on what that interest rate is, then you get that return off your savings account, right? Commercial banks, yeah, they're invested in bonds. They're trying to find ways to generate revenue as well. They're some of the heavily invested institutions. Commercial banks, Wells Fargo, Chase, JP Morgan, all of them, Bank of America, you name it. I don't know what company, especially any publicly traded company, is not invested in United States treasuries, bonds. Everybody's playing that game, especially and who are so more fragile, the older people, because they usually take their money out of more riskier stocks while they were younger, when they have more room to take more risk and more bets with their money to increase it. Now they're older, they're looking for more stable investments, so then they'll jump into the government bonds, which is, like I said, nobody thinks the United States government not going to be able to pay their bills, especially the people who are about to retire or who are currently retired. I would be worried. Will they be able to make the Social Security checks? Will they cut the Medicare? A lot of people won't get medicine because most people sign up for Medicare if they had a good benefits from their job pay a majority of it, and then the Medicare come in on the back end and pay their insurance, their pharmacy bill, their medication, to the tune of what, 190, I think, is the cap for Medicare. They pay that to the tune for your medication every month. So it's more of a supplement for a lot of people, but a lot of people need that supplement, right? That's on the table, and that affects households directly. Imagine your parents, about all our parents are about to retire. They're about to retire, or they're already retired, or they're retiring. That it might not be there for them. Who's to say if it's going to be there for us? But people are so reliant on these programs, they think they're always going to be there. Meanwhile, the United States Treasury Secretary is panicking and shaking in her boots and sliding the United States Congress letters that we're going to run out of money by June. I know I said September, but no, June 2023. We're going to have to make good on all these people that I just named. And the majority owner of all of that debt, almost to the what, $31 trillion of debt the United States has, is the Federal Reserve, the United States Central Bank, the central bank that controls all of the world banks. The Bank of England, China, Russia has one. The only countries that don't have central banks are countries that are like on no-fly zones and stuff. Like they have some type of war, popping off in a country, and the United States ain't rocking with them, and the Western world, the whole Western hemisphere, not rocking with them, and they don't trade with us. They don't do any of that. They're just like not a part of globalization at all. Those are the countries, the Iraqs of the world. You know what I mean? They are on that list of no central banks. But for the rest of the world, any developed nation, they all have central banks, and they're all behind the scenes manipulating currency and playing with economics and playing with the interest rate and playing with this, controlling our money and controlling how fast or how slow the economy goes. They directly affect that. How much lending is out there, how much money you can borrow to get a house. All of this stuff is determined by these people. But if all of that goes away, in the United States, Janet Yellen saying, look, Paul McCarthy, you just got elected as House Speaker. I know you new to the job, bro, but yeah, get busy on this bill because we got like 5 months and everything gonna crash. We facing another government shutdown. No programs running for the government. All government buildings shut down. Employees furloughed, sent home. No Social Security services. No parks and recs. No, none of that stuff. It's all done. Go home until further notice. That's what we facing. And as far as the countries, Japan and China come knocking for their debt, they gonna Biden gonna be on the phone, brokering some deals for them to stand off and hold off and give them a chance, and you know, hoping and praying. That's what we up against. But this is because they keep mismanaging the money. Congress, Senate, they not absolved. President, United States Treasury, Federal Reserve, all of them, they all in on it. But this is the system they've built,